Hello, Power App enthusiasts. Welcome back again to the Power App tutorial channel. In our last video in the Pro series, we added JavaScript enhancements to our model-driven app. In today's video, we're going to be focusing on customizing the app commands so that we can copy single and multiple records in one single swipe. But like I said, this is going to be focusing on app commands. So if you're new to the channel, just make sure you hit that subscription button, add that notification bell so you can stay updated when we come up with new videos. But let's not waste any more time. Let's just jump right into it. All right, so this is the current status of our solution. And if I go into our model-driven app, I already have that opened up. These are what we call commands. So these are the command bars here. As you can see, we have a few hiding on the side if you click on the three dots. And if you open into the form itself, you can also see some commands. So these are what we're going to be customizing. We're going to be focusing on the shelter table today because the animal table has a lot of fields. So I'm going to be focusing on the shelter table and show you how to use the shelter table to edit commands and create commands and do what you want to do with the command bar. All right. Okay, so let's just go straight into our solution again. So this is the animal shelter solution, and if you want to edit the command bar, your best solution is to open the edit of a model-driven form. In our case, we are going straight for the animal shelter. So if you click on the shelter, as you can see, it says the view. This is the view side. And if you click here, you see the inside, which is the form. We want to start with the view, which is the outside. So if you click on the three dots, you can see edit table and then edit command bar. This is the one we want. Let's just click edit in the same tab. And when it pops up, it's actually going to show you the main grid, the main form. So you can still switch once you pop in, but we're doing the main grid, which is the outer side. So click on edit. And once you click on edit, you come into the command bar. In our case, we are trying to create a command to copy single or multiple records in one fell swoop. So let's just go ahead and click a new, and we're just going to edit this button and call it copy. And use icon. Let's say use icon, and then so you can add a web resource if you want to, but I'm going to use icon copy. It's going to have that copy sign. And then you have different ways of doing this. You could either use JavaScript or we could use formulas. And if you click on formulas, which is what we're going to be using, like I said, you can use JavaScript or formulas, but we want to be using formulas. But if you click on formulas, this pop-up screen pops up and says, create a component library to use PowerFX. So this only pops up the first time you're actually using PowerFX in the components bar. It needs to create a component library. So once this pops up, just click continue to create the component library. So this is going to store all the codes you create for the command bar. That's why you need a component library. So it's going to take a while. I'll pause while this gets done. All right, so we are back. And after the component library has been created, you should be able to run your formulas. And you can see it says open formula bar to run your formulas. But we're still going to do some modifications. So for here where it says visibility to determine if it shows, we're going to make a visibility rule so that it only shows on conditions. So show on condition from formula, just click on that. And then for tooltip, yeah, we're going to create a tooltip for this so that you can actually hover over it and it will tell you what the command bar is used for. All right, so I'm back, and for the tooltip title, I added copy shelter data. And the description is to copy single or multiple records. And like I said, we're going to be doing the visibility on a condition. And as you can see here, if it has popped up a visibility tree. So we're just going to add a visibility condition here. So remember, this is supposed to copy single or multiple records, and we want it to only appear when we need to do that. So we're going to put an if statement. I'm going to say if count rows. So it is going to count if the selected record all items. If you select more than one item, it's going to turn to true or false. So let's see when it's going to show up. All right. Pretty simple, straightforward. Let's work on the onSelect. So when you click on the onSelect, the drop-down button, remember this copy is supposed to copy single and multiple items from our shelter home. So if we go to our shelter home, we know we have shelter name, shelter location, shelter manager. If I expand this a little bit, and then we have shelter capacity and shelter types for our shelter table. So let's say I come here and I click on this. I want to be able to copy either one or copy multiple. And if you remember when we created our shelter ID, these are all auto columns, so you don't really need to do this. This just gets created automatically when you create a new record. So let's just go back to our copy formula and start creating our formula. And I'm going to be using Notepad to show you the formula because if I put this drop down menu here, there's not enough real estate space to show you all the code. But this is the code we're going to be using for our copy. So it's going to say for all self-selected dot all items, we're going to patch our shelter homes, which is the name of our shelter table. So just make sure when you're copying and pasting, you're not just copying and pasting everything. It has to align to how you created your table and how you created your columns. So take note of that. My table says shelter homes, which is why I'm patching the shelter homes. And then pat default shelters. This is when you're creating a new record. That's what this does. And then I showed you already we have the shelter name. So you're going to use shelter name and concatenate copy this record the shelter name. All this does is as add copy to the shelter name. So you see if the shelter name is called Foster Daycare, it should be called copy Foster Daycare and all. And then the same thing goes for the shelter manager. We're going to concatenate copy to the record. And for capacity, we're just going to use this record, the shelter capacity and location. We're going to concatenate copy to the location name and the shelter types. We're just going to copy the shelter types directly. Okay. And then finally, at the end of all that, we're going to send a notification to the user and let them know if it was successful or if it wasn't. And it's going to last for like 3 seconds. All right. So let's just grab this and put this in our formula bar. And we should be good. And then hit save and publish. Okay, so we're back and it's done saving and publishing. And I'm just going to move this a little bit so we can actually see it after the edit button. So you can move this up and down however you want. I'm just going to move it past the edits and then hit save and publish again. And once you hit save and publish, as you can see, it also has this, we're still publishing parts of the app, and that's just because we modified this. So just let this finish up real quick. All right, so once that's done, let's go back to animal shelter demo and just hit refresh a couple of times to make sure the effects has pulled through. So as you can see, nothing is populating here, but once you click on this, now you see it pop up. So once you click on an item, it shows you to the copy sign comes up. If you click on multiple items, it stays up because all it needs is one item to be picked up. And then, so let's test this real quick. I'm just going to pick one item for now and then hit copy to test it. And you can see it's duplicated it and created the same name but called it copy. And give it a new ID called SO6. And if you want to do for multiple items, let's just say we want to do all three of this, just hit copy and it will duplicate it the same way. Awesome. So this is for copy for our main form. Let's work on copy for the individual form. So if you go back to our component library command bar and hit back, click on the three dots and hit edit command bar. But this time around, we are going into the main form. So just switch to the main form and then click edit. And this is if you want to copy for the inside. So just like before, let's create a new command button like that. Just need one. And I'm going to call this copy also. Grab the icon, use just type in copy, should get you the right icon. There we go. And run formula is correct. Since you have two options, either run formula or JavaScript, we're going to be using our formula bar. So if you can see, there is a new component here that popped up called the component library. We're going to open that once we're done modifying this. But I just wanted to take you guys to take note of that. This is where all our code gets stored. All right, but so we're here with the run formula for our action bar. For show visibility, we're going to be using show visibility using a formula, and I'm going to add some tooltips here too. So 1 second. All right, so for the tooltip title, I put copy shelter record, and then for description, copy of fields in a record, and then I just added an accessibility test called copy shelter records. Okay, so for the visibility, we are going to be using this formula here. So just copy and paste this. And this is if self.selected dot state is equal to 1, false, or true. What this does is it checks if you have a new record. So if this is a new record, this is not going to, the copy command is not going to pop up since there's nothing to copy as it's a new record. But it's going to only pop up when you have something to copy. So like old records that have data in it. That's what the visibility does. And then let's go straight to onSelect command. For the onSelect, just like before, if you go to your form, so this is the main form, and then if you click on the shelter location, when we go into the form, so this is where our copy is gonna, when we create it finish. But these are the items you want to copy. So it needs to copy every item in here. All right. So let's open up Notepad again. All right. So for our Notepad, this is going to be the formula we're going to be using. We're going to be using a navigate. And the navigate is just so that once the record is created, it will navigate to the record that's being created. So we start with a navigate and then we'll patch the shelter home again. And default shelter home is to create a new record. And we're going to be using the with function. So with self.selected item. And we're going to say shelter name. For the shelter name, like before, we're going to concatenate the shelter name with a copy at the beginning. The shelter manager, we're going to concatenate also with a copy. Same for the shelter location, except for the shelter capacity. So everything else gets a copy concatenation. And then for the shelter type, to get the shelter types, because the shelter type is stored in a choice column, we're gonna use a lookup field to look them up and then add them into our table. So you can create whichever choice fields you want to select. I chose to pick cat, dog, small exotic animals, and small mammals when I'm creating a new record inside my form. So you can pick random items you want. I just chose these four. And then, so once you're done with this, you just copy this and put it into our onSelect, paste that in there. right? And then once you're done, this time around, before I hit save and publish, I'm gonna move this to save, mark done complete. Let's move it after save and close, and then save and publish. This is gonna take a while, so I'll pause. Okay, so it's finally done saving and publishing. Let's go back to our solution. Just hit refresh a couple of times. And you can see if it's an old record that has data, that's when it will show up. But if you create a new record with no data, the copy doesn't show up. All right. So let's do a quick test on copying an item. So with everything all here, you just hit copy. You see it created a new version of the fields and they just concatenated copy to it so you can know. And you can also save and close and go back and then go back again to see the new item that was copied. All right, so that's just a quick view of how to use the command button, how to add commands, how to hide them. And if you want to see where your files are stored, like I said, everything is stored in the component library. So if you click on that, you open a component library, which will show you where all your files are stored. Actually rename this. Right, so I renamed the first one, the one that does for all, copy main, and then the one that's stored inside, renamed that copy form. And just hit save and then publish this version of your component library to push it through, and it should be good. And let's go back. When you come back to the solution, you can see we have a new component called the component library. And if you click on this, it'll take you directly to where your components are stored so you can make adjustments. All right, thank you for joining me in this video. Hope you guys learned a few things. Don't forget to hit that like button if you learned something new. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.